Hey guys, if you're new to Deception Bites, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. All right, guys, I'm back, and it is Tuesday, September 17th, and it's 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope everyone is doing well. You're all looking fantastic. So anyway, I hope you're ready. We're going to get into some Q-related news, and I am working on a couple of stories, and actually, that I'm only going to be bringing one video tonight because I've worked quite late on that story, and then I realized, I don't quite have it ready to the point where I can bring it to y'all, but it's coming. So anyway, just one video tonight on Q related news, and we're going to get right to it. Plus, I do have some people to thank, but I am going to leave that for the end of the show because those that listen to me regularly always listen to the end, and so that way people get turned off right away and click off the video if they hear me doing a lot of chatting at the first. So this way, you know, I'm still getting to my loyal listeners without irritating other people. So let's get going. And as you can see, I'm here with my fine furry feline friend. And I realized as I sat down that I'm wearing the exact same thing that I wore yesterday. But, you know, I'm not Princess Diana or anything. So, you know, I think that that's normal for most people, isn't it? It's just extra comfortable. So, all right. Now, I've got a lot of everything, and I won't be able to get to all of it, but I did want to bring this up first because I think, if I'm not mistaken, somebody brought it to my attention on Twitter. And at first I thought, yeah, this is, you know, secret code here. But the more I check it out, the more I think, I don't think so. So let's just take a look at this. It's by Keith Olbermann, and it says, Clooney is a scared stray who soon puts his head in your lap for caresses. He shouldn't die Saturday. Untrained, was uncertain, protective around a baby, but has the best behavior score. Clooney, number 74643, needs pledges via Tom Jumbo Grumbo for rescue, please, return tweet. And it says New Hope, shelterbuddy.com. Okay, well, at first I looked at this and I thought, ooh, a couple things stand right out to me. You know, because remember Booker, you know, was saying about this dog that was lost, and you know, that there was all that stuff about gumbo and everything. So the first thing that stood out to me was the fact that it was a dog, and the dog's name was Clooney, and it was being tweeted by Keith Olbermann, and that this Tom Jumbo Grumbo, you know, kind of, at first I thought, oh, this has got to be code. So I did check this out. I went to Tom Jumbo Grumbo on Twitter, and I checked it all out, and the whole thing is a list of dogs at a very real shelter. It's called New Hope Shelter, and what they do is they tweet out images of dogs that are set to die the next day because they've been in the shelter too long, and it's a one last ditch attempt to get homes for these dogs. So I don't know. I don't think personally this is any secret message. Now, I know many people think it is, and maybe I'm wrong, but it is a very real website, New Hope, shelterbuddy.com, and these are dogs that are set to die the next day. So when he says he doesn't deserve to die, or he shouldn't die Saturday, this was Friday when it was tweeted out, and the next day he was set to be euthanized. So that it's one last-ditch effort to get a home for the dog. So in this case, I did check it out. I don't particularly feel that this is a secret message to anyone. I really do honestly think this is about dogs finding a home. Now, could I be wrong? Absolutely. I've been wrong before, and chances are I'll be wrong again. But we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, so not going to look any further into that, but I do want to click on this. Whew, it's hot in here, and I don't know why, because it's cool outside, but it's hot in here. I know that has nothing to do with anything. Anyway, a woman who previously worked for the Arizona DCS has broken her gag order and is speaking out about a horrifying child sex trafficking ring in which children are raped and tortured. CPS, and that's Child Protective Services, worker defies gag order, exposes violent child sex ring in state foster system. And it says Sierra Vista, Arizona. While many think that the state taking children from parents is a noble gesture to protect the child, all too often the state removes kids from a bad situation and throws them into a situation akin to a horror film. Many times the children are taken from caring parents who happen to hit a rough patch in their lives and thrown into torturous and outright sadistic situations where they end up raped, tortured, and even murdered. Beth Breen, a former employee of Arizona DCS, recently broke her gag order and went on Northwest Liberty News, where she detailed the horrifying treatment suffered by a young girl named Devani at the hands of the state foster system. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, both for my eyes and for you people on your tiny little phones. I'm always thinking of you tiny phone people, always. All right. Now, Beth Breen, okay, we just read that. According to Breen, she is not supposed to speak about the case because of a gag order, but is anyway because the information is vital and the order unconstitutional. Breen explained that she was a driver for a 5-year-old girl whose stay in foster care ended with her being permanently disfigured and fighting for her life in ICU because of her bureaucratic protection within the system. The child, who is referred to as Jane Doe in a lawsuit, but whose real name is Devani, was taken from her parents because they had substance abuse issues. Because her mother struggled with addiction, the state took Devani from her. Like mentioned before, they took her from a bad situation and threw her into a nightmare where she was repeatedly raped and tortured. Breen's job involved driving Devani from her foster home 90 miles away for a 2-hour supervised visit with her parents each week. Because the round trip was 4 hours, Breen spent more time with Devani than her parents. During the interview, Breen states that there was 36 police reports made to the foster home in which Devani lived, but that they were never investigated. The foster parent, David Frodsham, the deputy commander of the fort, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, Huachuk, I don't know. I would just butcher it. So it's an army base, a position he held after being kicked out of Afghanistan for deviant sexual behavior, would only be arrested after this monster became so overtly careless that he went to the foster office drunk to collect his check for fostering children. Sounds like a real winner. Breen said she was perplexed at the fact that only 3 people were arrested in connection with the child sex trafficking and torture ring Frodsham was running out of his DCS-approved foster home. Instead of opening a statewide investigation after Frodsham and another sex trafficking sicko were arrested, the state went after those who tried to expose it. That happens so often. So often. It's happened to me. You try to expose something, and they turn on you like rabid wolves. And you think, oh, the authorities will help. They'll step in. Nope, they come after you. That happens all the time, and I hear all sorts of horror stories from all sorts of people about the very same thing. After having, okay, hang on. They went after her after she tried to expose it. During the interview, Breen explains how she was arrested for peacefully protesting the abuse of children inside the system. In 2017, TFTP reported on Devani's case in a subsequent lawsuit, which is nothing short of something out of a horror film. After having her children taken, Michelle Tremor Calderon, the child's biological mother, began to improve her condition. With a clearer head, Tremor noticed that her daughter seemed to be deteriorating in the care of her state-approved foster parent, David Frodsham.
I did everything DCS wanted me to and received certificates of completion and was in full compliance when my rights were severed, Tremor said. After only a few weeks in the care of Frodsham, multiple signs of abuse and neglect began to arise. However, no action was taken. Tremor, I'm not sure how her last name is pronounced. Tremor had pointed out on multiple occasions that her daughter had continued urinary tract infections, which can sometimes indicate signs of repeated sexual abuse in children. Her concerns, however, fell on deaf, bureaucratic ears. I told my CPS DCS caseworker on several occasions due to my concerns, and they were all ignored, Tremor said. Instead of investigating Jane Doe's biological mother's concern of abuse, DCS and the defendant caseworkers accused her of making false and exaggerated reports to DCS, the lawsuit states. Despite jumping through all the hoops, the state refused to give Tremor her daughter. The longer she stayed away from her mom, the worse things got for little Devani. Frodsham had been in the state's foster system program, the state's foster program from 2002 until 2015, when he was removed after being caught DUI with children in his car, one of whom was Devani. It was no ordinary DUI, however. This monster was so comfy with the status system that was paying him to rape children that he went to the foster office drunk to get paid. As the complainant notes, despite her mother's repeated complaints, the state did not act on behalf of Devani until David Frodsham, driving drunk, left 3-year-old Jane and another child in his parked car while he was collecting his foster parent check in a state office while visibly drunk and acting belligerent. Even after they found abused children in his car while drunk at the state office, the DCS did not conduct a review of his home. It took him getting arrested again, this time with another child rapist. David Frodsham, the state's choice for a better environment than her own mother, was arrested along with an active duty soldier for allegations of transferring child porn over the internet. According to the lawsuit, later, David Frodsham was arrested and accused of sexual misconduct with a minor, procuring minors for sex, and possessing and/or manufacturing child pornography. Law enforcement's investigation revealed a video made by David Frodsham of a 3- or 4-year-old girl being penetrated by an adult male and screaming for her mommy. David Frodsham pled guilty rather than face a trial and was sentenced to 17 years in the Arizona Department of Corrections. David Frodsham was part of a pornography ring involving numerous children in his pornography and the procurement of sex for the ring. For more than a decade, this sicko likely preyed on children, all of whom were given to him by the state of Arizona. Naturally, one would think that Tremor's daughter was found to have been placed in a home and sexually abused because of the negligence of the state. They would give Devani back to her mom, who had done everything they asked to improve her situation. However, one would be wrong. Instead of reuniting this poor abused girl with her biological mother, she was placed into another horrifying nightmare. Devani's new state-appointed abuser was Samantha Osteros. After staying with Ostros for a few months, this girl would be nearly killed. According to the complaint, defendant Samantha Osteros submerged and held down Jane Doe, a 5-year-old, in a bath of scalding hot water. Jane Doe suffered severe burns over 80% of her body. When police arrived, there was blood on the floor and pieces of Jane Doe's skin were falling off her body. There were bruises to her neck and arms, along with other signs of trauma. Devani was put into a medically induced coma, suffering from organ failure. She lost her toes to amputation and will undergo lifelong operations to replace 80% of the skin on her body and will need incredible amounts of care for the duration of her life as a result of the abuse she suffered in the Osteros's home. No one within the agency involved in placing this little girl in the care of sick child abusers has been held accountable. The only means of accountability will come from the lawsuit, which seeks punitive damages for negligence. Respondent superior, breach of duty, intentional infliction of emotional distress, assault and battery, and constitutional violations. Sadly, as the Free Thought Project has reported far too many times, this is not an isolated incident. Despite the overwhelming evidence to the contrary, many in the mainstream media and the government refuse to see this very real epidemic of child sex trafficking in the United States. What's more, according to the government's own data, the vast majority of a portion of these trafficked kids are coming from the government system, who promises to keep them safe, a horrifying irony indeed, but it appears to be set up this way. The system is set up to pull children from their families for ridiculous reasons and turn them over to for-profit systems funded by your tax dollars that use these children as cash cows and have no incentive to keep them safe. In 1984, the United States Congress established the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and as part of Missing Children's Assistance Reauthorization Act of 2013, they received $40 million to study and track missing and trafficked children in the United States. In 2017, MCCUMBER assisted law enforcement with over 27,000 cases of missing children, the majority who were considered endangered runaways. According to their most recent report, compiled from FBI data and their own, of the nearly 25,000 runaways reported to MCCUMBER in 2017, 1 in 7 were likely victims of child sex trafficking. Of those, 88% were in the care of social services when they went missing. Showing the scope of the abuse, in 2017 alone, MCCUMBER's Cyber Tip Line, a national mechanism for the public and electronic service providers to report instances of suspected child sexual exploitation, received over 10 million reports. According to MCCUMBER, most of these tips were related to the following: apparent child sexual abuse images, online enticement, including sextortion, child sex trafficking, child sexual molestation. Other governmental organizations have corroborated this horrifying trend. In a 2013 FBI 70-city nationwide raid, 60% of the victims came from foster care or group homes. In 2014, New York authorities estimated that 85% of sex trafficking victims were previously in the child welfare system. In 2012, Connecticut police rescued 88 children from child sex trafficking. 86 were from the child welfare system. Equally as disturbing as the fact that most sex trafficked kids come from within the system is the fact that the FBI discovered in a 2014 nationwide raid that many foster children rescued from sex traffickers, including children as young as 11, were never reported missing by child welfare authorities. Even high-level government officials have been ensnared in these foster care abuse scandals. As TFTP previously reported, multiple victims came forward and accused Seattle Mayor Ed Murray of sexually abusing them when they were children in Washington's foster care system. The records in that case, dating back to 1984, explicitly noted that Ed Murray should never again be utilized as a certified CSD resource for children. It also showed that a criminal case was brought against Murray by prosecutors, but in spite of the multiple accusations, charges were somehow never filed, and his records buried. As Snopes and the mainstream media in general attempts to smear those who try to call who try to call attention to alleged and very real child sex trafficking, the government's own data shows how irresponsible this is. While there are certainly some outlandish theories being presented online, the facts are outlandish enough to warrant serious scrutiny. Until this epidemic is taken seriously, the government, the media, and all those who deny it will remain complicit in keeping it going. As Michael Dolce, who specializes in these horrific child abuse cases pointed out last year, we have set up a system to sex traffic American children. Indeed, and as the mainstream media continues to sensationalize issues like the non-crisis of vaping or measles or any other fear-mongering content, they are providing perfect cover to keep that system going. And they have below here the interview with Beth Breen, but we're not going to get into that. I did want to let you know that because I'm seeing more and more and more of this online. And of course, I've been hearing about it for years, as probably you have as well. And it only seems to be getting worse. I don't think that these foster care homes are properly vetted. And in some cases, it's the people themselves in, CPS that are, have these rings going and are, allowing people that they probably know are sexually abusing these children to continue. It's horrific. And had they just given this child back to her mother, the mother was clean and sober and had done everything that was required of her to do to get her child back, and yet they refused to give her back her child. And that's what happened. The child will never be right, burns to 80% of her body, and she has to look forward to a life of continual operations. It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I'd like to know what happened to the woman that did that to her. Probably very little. That seems to be the way it goes these days, unfortunately. So let's look at this next. And this is by Amy Meck. And it says, "Pay attention, America. 6 months after Christchurch massacre, a farewell to firearms in New Zealand. If New Zealanders fail to turn in their banned weapons by December 20th, they could face 5 years in prison. This is gun confiscation, and confiscation is what Democrats want in America." And so true. Now, I'm not
Firearms
sure.
collection event 100 kilometres northeast of the capital. Following the deadly attack in Christchurch, the country's Labour government launched a national buyback scheme, offering financial compensation to people who surrender their guns before the 20th of December. As part of tougher gun laws, most semi-automatic weapons and high-capacity magazines are now banned. Since the programme kicked off in mid-July, more than 19,000 firearms have been handed in and 21 million euros paid out.
There are some people that are very emotional with some of their firearms, and we accept that, and we'll do everything to respect that. We make the process as easy and as simple as possible for them. Where the firearms are old and been handed down through the family, it's quite an impact on them to actually have to give that firearm after many years or generations being in that family.
The contentious crackdown and subsequent debate have divided not only New Zealand, but the firearm community itself, some 250,000 gun licence holders.
You're only taking the weapons off the honest people. It's more about laws about those that have weapons and are unlicensed and using them dishonestly.
I fully support it. I think, you don't need these sorts of guns.
It should have actually been sorted out years ago. That's my thought.
Hey, it's got to happen. It's like anything. One bad apple spoils the bunch, doesn't it?
While many New Zealanders welcome these tighter gun laws, others accuse the government of rushing through ineffective knee-jerk legislation. Groups such as the Council of Licensed Firearms Owners claim the reforms punish those who do the right thing and say they deserve to be heard.
It's really important that the government starts to listen to some of the subject matter experts. This first tranche of legislation has gone through without our help, without our assistance. There is no need to have a divide between firearm owners and general public, because those firearm owners are still general public.
For some New Zealanders, hunting is a way of life, both as a source of food and as a method of pest control.
And we're off.
So, if the Democrats have their way, that is what's coming to America. You turn in your guns or you go to jail. Simple as that. Doesn't matter if it's been in your family for generations. Doesn't matter if you need that gun to hunt deer and put food on your table. And a lot of Americans do just that. A lot of Canadians do just that. Now, we have the freedom here to do that. And especially if you are Native, you are allowed to hunt on Native land anytime. But yeah, it's not fair. It's absolutely not fair that these people that hunt, and a lot of these hunters are, you know, they hunt to put food on the table. They're not hunting for sport. So it's just, there's so much that's really unfair about this. And of course, the criminals aren't going to be handing their guns in. I'm sorry, just I hear somebody spraying my cat, or not spraying, but scratching my couch, and it was Xander. And yeah, I would prefer not to have my couch scratched. So, all right then, let's go on, because there's more to get to, of course. And let's get over here and see. So we just looked at this, and this is, and he's back at it. No, he's just scratching my rug now. Okay, New Zealand police, this from New Zealand police, firearms amnesty and buyback ends 20th of December. There will be no compensation after this date, and possessing a prohibited firearm will be an offense. No exceptions. Now is the time to hand them in before it's too late. Wow. Now, you know, I know you're saying, oh, that could never happen in America. Yeah, unfortunately it could. Now, I know there would be blood in the streets, because I know Americans are, you know, very attached to their guns, and rightfully so. I think that, you know, I've heard all the gun, you know, arguments, and I agree with them. I really do. And it's so much against what I was raised, because I was always raised with guns are bad. It's bad to own it. Only bad people have guns. And, you know, when I actually lived in the States and started listening to people and the arguments that they had, I was like, they're right. They're absolutely right. So yes, I am very pro-gun. And personally, I think that the only people that benefit or that hand their guns in a situation like that are the honest people. The criminals never hand their guns in, you know, and they're going to get their gun. They're going to get guns regardless, because it's illegal in Canada, but lots of people have guns now, especially in Toronto. All of a sudden, I'm sorry, but I just going to go over here for a second, because it's so weird. Like, I have all of a sudden, this all went numb in here. And very, very odd. Just a very odd feeling. Okay, well, enough of that. I know, it's way too much 411, but it just feels very odd on this side of my face. Okay, world history and gun control. Let's touch on this. 56 million people were rounded up and exterminated in the 20th century after being disarmed by their government. True enough. 1911, Turkey established gun control. From 1915 to 1917, 1,500 million Armenians unable to defend themselves were rounded up and exterminated. And then 1935, China established gun control. From 1948 to 1952, 20 million political dissidents unable to defend themselves were rounded up and exterminated. 1956, Cambodia established gun control. From 1975 to 1977, 1 million educated people unable to defend themselves were exterminated. 1970, Uganda established gun control. From 1971 to 1979, 300,000 Christians unable to defend themselves were rounded up and exterminated. 1929, the Soviet Union established gun control. Between 1929 and 1953, 20 million dissidents unable to defend themselves were rounded up and exterminated. 1938, Germany established gun control. Between 1939 and 1945, 13 million Jews and others unable to defend themselves were rounded up and exterminated. 1964, Guatemala established gun control. Between 1964 and 1981, 100,000 Mayan Indians unable to defend themselves were rounded up and exterminated. Do you see a pattern here? Quite clear, isn't it? Yeah, it seems to be the way of these dictators and so forth. And of course, we're not talking about Trump, because I don't think that Trump has any plans on taking our guns, but the Democrats certainly do. And if we were to ever get a Democrat as a president, this is what we look forward to. Seriously, we would lose our guns now, and that we would lose them. And I know people say, oh, there'd be blood in the street, there'd be civil war. Maybe, but do you really think you're going to win a civil war against the government who has just about unlimited, resources at in their possession and at their disposal? I don't think so. If somebody really wanted to disarm Americans and they were in charge of the government, they could and they would. Really. And I know you say, oh, no, we'd shoot them. Well, okay. Well, they would drop one bomb on your neighborhood and that would be it for you. So really, yeah, we have to be concerned. And, it's hard to fight it at the point where we've got a Democrat in office and all of a sudden we're saying, oh, we've got to fight this. Well, it's a little late then, because that person has the disposal of the entire military. So, and don't think that the military, oh, they wouldn't do that to their own citizens. They're trained and to take commands. Maybe some wouldn't, but I don't guarantee that all wouldn't. So, there you go. That having, that's enough said about that. And let's go on to more Biden gaffes. Oh my goodness gracious. What is happening to this man? Very odd. Okay. Biden gets a laugh with Donald Hump. Okay, well, let's listen to this.
Limit to 4 years. I believe history will look back in this presidency as an aberrant moment in time. But if Donald Trump is reelected, Freudian slip. If Donald Trump is reelected, he will forever and fundamentally alter the character of this nation.
Yes, he will, for the better.
Donald Trump.
Yeah, unbelievable. I think this guy, now, granted, I mean, I know for myself, I can make gaffes or whatever and, mix up words or lose my words or whatever. I mean, that's pretty much everyone does that to some extent. But this is getting, like, some of his gaffes are just like really out there. So let's go back now and let's look at this. No, really, let's. Another gaffe, Joe Biden cannot remember the word escalator. Former Vice President Joe Biden committed another gaffe on the campaign trail, struggling to remember the word escalator. During a campaign event on Sunday, Biden, with his frequent lapses on the campaign trail, made the verbal misstep when addressing a crowd of voters in Miami, Florida, to commemorate the start of Hispanic Heritage Month. The lapse occurred as Biden was attempting to attack President Donald Trump for having denounced criminals who entered the U.S. unlawfully during his initial campaign announcement in 2015. Remember when he came down his golden escalator of Trump Tower? Biden said, according to video of the incident by Washington Examiner, he announced on the way down one of the reasons he was running was because of all those Mexican rapists. Okay. And let's listen.
But folks, 8 years of this administration, not just him, the administration, is going to, I think, put us in a position where it's almost irredeemable for a long while. And so, folks, when those folks came, remember when he came down his gilded escalator in Trump Tower, he announced on the way down one of the reasons he was running because of all those Mexican rapists. He was talking about how anybody, the idea that we should be shocked that white supremacist walks into El Paso in a parking lot and guns down Hispanics and Latinos, and he says the following. He said, "I did it to stop the Hispanic invasion of America." But that was right after the president talked about in the off-year election the invasion that's coming north, the invasion that is going to swamp America.
What else is it? What else is it?
Folks,
It is an invasion. What else would you call a vast number, thousands and thousands and thousands at a time, coming across the border illegally? I'd call that an invasion. I think most Americans, most sensible Americans would. Even the Hispanics are against it. A lot of them. So anyway, Biden struggled to remember the word escalator was the latest in a string of high-profile lapses that have raised concerns about his fitness for presidency. In particular, the 76-year-old former vice president has also shown an inability to recollect dates and places. Earlier this summer, Biden shocked the media establishment when he claimed to be vice president at the time of the mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. "Those kids in Parkland came up to see me when I was vice president," Biden said during a huddle with reporters in Iowa, before claiming that when the survivors visited Congress, lawmakers were basically cowering, not wanting to see them. They did not want to face it on camera. The statement was quickly disproved as the shooting, which resulted in 17 fatalities, over a dozen injuries, and actually occurred on February 14th, 2018, more than a year after Biden left office. Compounding problems for Biden is that his fellow 2020 Democrats have openly begun discussing his deteriorating capacities. Earlier this month, Representative Tim Ryan inadvertently admitted to a reporter that Biden is declining in front of the public eye almost daily. I would have to agree with that. Now, let's go back and take a look at this. Biden gaffes, stumbles, and fitness for office under fire in new Trump campaign video. So let's just, it's 6 minutes there. So a new video from President Trump's re-election campaign takes a big swipe at former Vice President Joe Biden's fitness for office, spotlighting clips of his recent gaffes and other verbal fumbles, coupled with copious clips of pundits questioning his readiness. The web video, tweeted Tuesday morning by campaign manager Brad Parscale and shared first with Fox News, stitches together everything from his recent debate stage musings about record players to his statement that poor kids are just as talented as white kids. Interspersed with the clips of the 76-year-old Biden's comments are those of pundits wondering about his stumbles, shakiness, mental and physical stamina, whether he's lost a step, and whether he's equipped for a very grueling campaign. The former vice president's age and mental acuity have been questioned ever since he launched his 2020 presidential campaign in late April. Last week, the front-runner in the Democratic nomination faced repeated attacks from rivals over his memory. Former Housing Secretary Julian Castro, who served in the Obama administration with Biden, landed arguably the lowest blow when he swiped at Biden's memory, accusing him of contradicting himself on whether Americans would have to buy into his health care plan. And what is this? Okay, this must be the Trump. You just said 2 minutes ago they would have to buy in. Are you forgetting what you said 2 minutes ago? Castro asked in what appeared to be a reference to past senior moments by Biden. In that case, as Biden campaign later noted, Castro was wrong. Biden did not say during the debate that individuals would have to buy in. Instead, he said that individuals would automatically be enrolled if they lost their jobs. But Biden has drawn criticism for other stumbles and Another rival, Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey, backed Castro after the debate and raised further questions about Biden's ability to carry the banner for the Democrats in 2020. I think we are at a tough point right now because there's a lot of people concerned about Joe Biden's ability to carry the ball all the way across the end line without fumbling, Booker told CNN in an interview, and I think that Castro has had really legitimate concerns about can he be somewhere in a long, grueling campaign and has every right to call it out. A clip of the Booker interview appears in the Trump campaign video. The jabs from some of his mid and lower tier rivals are raising concerns that Biden, if he wins the nomination, would be weakened for the general election showdown against Trump. But another rival for the nomination, former Representative Beto O'Rourke of Texas, bluntly tweeted this past weekend, "Who the hell cares about Joe Biden's age?" Biden is far from the only candidate where age is an issue. The president is 72, and Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, another top-tier Democratic presidential candidate, is 77. Yeah, but Trump is a very young 72-year-old. I don't know many 72-year-olds that could keep up with him, to tell you the truth. Another top Democratic White House rival, Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, at 70, but concerns about their ages have been less of a factor. Both Biden and Sanders have repeatedly said that age is a legitimate concern in the race for the White House, but Biden's been brushing off criticism that he's too old for the Oval Office. Last Friday, he told reporters he'll prove his fitness through the grinding process that is a presidential campaign trail, and he pledged to release his medical records when I get my next physical before the voting begins next February in the Iowa caucus. This summer, the doctor, who was named the White House physician to the then vice president, said Biden was in excellent physical condition. And he is more capable of handling the rigors of the campaign and the office for which he is running, said Dr. Kevin O'Connor. There is no digital ad buy associated with the latest video yet, but the Trump campaign has not ruled one out. So let's take a look at this campaign. I have not seen it because I'm not a TV person, but let's look at it.
President Obama reportedly told Joe Biden directly, quote, "You don't have to do this, Joe. You really don't."
That is not a joke. That is a natural fact.
I think Biden looked unsteady at many points.
Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night, the phone.
He's not the most polished speaker anymore.
The president my friend from Vermont thinks that.
Watching his long, winding answers that don't really make sense in recent debates has also raised the question as to whether that has gotten worse and whether he is up for this.
The fact is that the bills that the future president here.
There's a lot of people who are concerned about Joe Biden's ability to carry the ball all the way across the end line without fumbling.
Go to Joe 30330.
He looked kind of unsteady and almost deer in the headlights.
So what are we doing? What's going on right now?
He's not that good at this. I mean, he's clearly not that strong a candidate, thinking on his feet.
Anyway, my time's up. I'm sorry.
I think there are some concerns, and they've been expressed by Democrats themselves.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Over whether Joe Biden is equipped to withstand a very grueling campaign.
We choose truth over facts.
Joe Biden was really shaky, both because he was stumbling through his answers.
I'm the vice president of the United States.
And also because the substance of those answers hasn't really gotten better.
Those details are irrelevant.
I think we're going to see growing questions, wondering if he has the mental and physical stamina to get through this campaign.
I love this place. Look, what's not to like about Vermont in terms of the beauty of it? And what a neat town.
Obama warned Biden's aides to make sure Biden didn't embarrass himself.
Imagine what would have happened if, God forbid, Barack Obama had been assassinated.
Real conversation that is happening among Democrats. Has he lost a step? Is he too shaky?
I want to be clear. I'm not going nuts.
There are definitely moments where you listen to Joe Biden and you just wonder.
That's a very good video, actually, put out by the Trump people, and it's true. It's true. I mean, I don't think that he's Well, I don't think any of them. Really, I can't look at any of the Democrats and think that any of them stand a chance. But, of course, I'm a little biased, but that's what I think. Okay, well, Joe Biden. And also, and I know this makes me sound a little bit out there, but he does not look like the same Joe Biden. I don't know if he's had a facelift or he's had, some kind of plastic surgery. I don't know, but he does not look like Joe Biden, not like the Joe Biden of a year ago even. So I don't know what's going on there, but something is. Okay, well, yes, this is very interesting too. So we're going to take a look at this. Come on. There we go. All right, this from Reformation Charlotte, and I'm not familiar with this webpage, but somebody sent it to me. And I think it's very interesting. The Presbyterian Church, PC USA, reveals, and the Presbyterian Church USA reveals their true God, places pagan deity in sanctuary. The, I'm not even sure how to pronounce this, Saviatovid sculpture placed in the sanctuary of a New York Presbyterian church is a modern artistic rendition of an ancient pagan god unique to Eastern Europe and was worshipped as the god of war. The sculpture, which is placed in the sanctuary of Binghamton Presbyterian Church in New York, is on display during a festival called the Luma Festival. According to the sculpture's website, Saviatovid is inspired by both a 9th century Slavic deity and a medieval sculpture of the same name. Saviatovid is a 15-foot tall faceted totem. Interesting. The sculpture, that is one ugly sculpture, I'm just saying. I would not want that to be staring at me while I'm worshiping God. I'm just saying. The sculpture is 15 foot tall and is described as not omniscient, but could take in the world from literally all 4 cardinal directions because it has 4 faces. The festival claims that the purpose of the sculpture is in keeping with the deity's origin story. Saviatovid is an intercontinental expedition to bring people closer together. And nothing's better at doing that than a really ugly sculpture in a church. Yeah, talk about bringing people together. Sure, nothing says unity like an ugly sculpture. Just saying. So anyway, Saviatovid will materialize in the sanctuary of Binghamton United Presbyterian Church with additional content. In an homage to the striking 19th century architecture of the church, the students of Barcresa Academy will build an original 3.5-minute pre-show. The church spire, pipe organs, and stained glass inform the new work. Well, there you go. The Presbyterian Church, mainline denomination, is long apostate and has completely abandoned the true God of the Bible in favor of LGBTQ inclusion, feminism, and social justice. It comes as no surprise that they would have no problem placing an idol in the sanctuary which represents the God they really worship, Satan. If you were to die today, where would you go? And that is part of the article. So I think that this is very interesting. How would you like to have that in your church if you go to church and, you can be spiritual, certainly, and not go to church as long as you have, there was a time there where I didn't go to church because I couldn't find a church that was preaching the truth, and I met with others in my home. That was every bit as profitable as a formal church, and probably more so. Anyway, let's go back and see what other trouble we can get into here. Probably a bunch. Now, I'm going to skip that for, hang on here. What's this? Oh, yes. Joe Biden claims that his tax credit would put 720 million women back into the workforce. Yeah, 720 million women back into the workforce. The U.S. has a population of only 330 million people. So, yeah, how exactly is he going to do that? With a child tax credit. How does that put them back into the workforce? And we've got the lowest unemployment ever. Joe, you're losing it. Big time, buddy. Stop embarrassing yourself. 720 million women back to work. Yay. Okay, and speaking of really ridiculous things, let's look at this quote by Representative Sheila Jackson Lee. Homicide is the leading cause of murder. No. Wow. Did you know that? Yeah, it's the leading cause of murder. Homicide. You know, that's like saying murder is the leading cause of murder. Yes, you're right. It is. Yeah, that is Representative Sheila Jackson Lee. She's a mental giant. She is. Okay. Well, let's get rid of her face because, you know, my face is hurting. I'm telling you, I don't know what this is, but it is downright painful all of a sudden. Just bizarre. Okay, this by Brad Parscale, but I will go on with the show. You know why? Well, I don't know why. I guess because I'm kind of partial to you people. You know, you grow on me. All right. So Brad Parscale, Donald Trump rally in New Mexico was a data gold mine. Now this is interesting. 45,000 people registered for tickets. 94% were from within New Mexico. 78% of registrants matched to voter file. That's good. Over 20% voted in one or zero of the last 4 elections. And 9.3% voted in one, and 11.5% or voted in none, and 11.5 in one. So it's interesting because generally people that aren't interested in voting at all do not show up at political rallies, but they're there for Trump. 52% male, 48% female, 40% Latino. Now, that should be a wake-up call to the Democrats, don't you think? Now, this should be an even bigger wake-up call to the Democrats because 31% of the audience were Democrats. And I don't think that they were just there to get the dish on Trump. I really don't. So, isn't that something? Yeah. The Democrats, they're really putting the nails in their own coffins. They really are, because they've gotten so ridiculous and so out there that I can't see even a Democrat looking at this crop of whatever we have, presidential hopefuls. I can't see them looking at them and saying, this one would be good. There's nobody. And which leads me to wonder if Michael is going to step into the fray there, who's now on a tour, speaking tour, asking up to $4,000 or more for a ticket to hear her, him, whatever speak. Really, he really thinks that people will part with $4,000 to hear him or her speak? Wow. Talk about deluded. Now, it'll be interesting to see How many people show up? That will be very interesting. I bet in Canada there may be some, because Canadians they're really against Trump, and because we don't get the news up here. Not the right news. Anyway, all very interesting. Now, let's come up and see what other trouble we can get into. I don't have too much more time here. I don't want to make this, forever. But let me see. Oh, yes, we have to get to this. No, we do. And we will. And we shall. Donald Trump stole pancakes and forgot a relative was dead while visiting family, cousin claims. Now, all I can say about this is this gives me hope. It gives me hope. You know why? Because they have to be extremely desperate to run a story about Donald Trump putting pancakes in his pocket. Seriously. How desperate do you have to be? And this from Newsweek. So if they're this desperate, what does that tell you? Really? So really, when I saw this, I laughed. In fact, I laughed a lot. And I laughed even harder when my friend Heather from Houston said, well, what did she say? The whole secret to having pancakes in your pocket is to have pancakes in the one pocket and syrup in the other. Because I said, I wonder if they had syrup on it. She said, no, I think the whole secret to being successful with the pancake is pancake in one, syrup in the other. Anyway, let's get to this ridiculous story. I mean, that's an understatement. This should give us all hope, because they are stooping to this. Yes, they are. A relative of Donald Trump has accused the self-proclaimed billionaire. Okay, he's not a self-proclaimed billionaire. He is a billionaire. There's a difference. What is wrong with these people? Like, it's getting so out of hand. I mean, I thought it was out of hand before, but now they have tipped the scales. In fact, I don't think I will ever look at Newsweek the same again, ever, now that they have stooped to this, because they must think we are complete imbeciles. But let me go on. Donald Trump has accused a relative of President Donald Trump has accused the self-proclaimed billionaire of being a pancake thief. That's right, a pancake thief. Oh no. Hillary, look at everything Hillary Clinton's done. What? Deleted 30,000 emails, sold uranium to our enemy, child trafficking, Haiti, money laundering, selling our secrets to China. But Trump, all they could dig up on Trump is that he stole pancakes? Okay, well, let's hear the story out. It might be really something that he did that's really bad, that's going to get him impeached. Let's read on. So the relative said that he accused him of being a pancake thief, having stolen a handful of flat cakes while on vacation at his late mother's former home in Scotland. A distant cousin of the president, Alice McKay, related to Trump through his mother's family, the McLeods, said the commander-in-chief is an unpleasant man who has never used any of his wealth to help his mother's local community. Okay. The 79-year-old spoke in glowing terms about Trump's late mother, Mary Ann McLeod, who died in 2000, and his older sister, Mary Ann Trump Barry, 82, saying they were both generous people who made many contributions to the Isle of Lewis, an island located in Scotland's far northern outer Hebrides. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. And here's the thing to me. It sounds like this person is bitter because maybe Trump hasn't given them money. Just saying. McKay told Scottish newspaper The National, "I don't like the man at all. So he's so unlike his mother and father." She recalled that Mary Ann and Fred Trump were Lovely parents. I don't know what went wrong with him. My mom and dad were second cousins. Every time they were over there, they came to ours for dinner. McKay recalled one morning when the future president committed 2 social faux pas in quick succession. He was here one morning. I was busy making pancakes, and he had forgotten my husband had died, she said. He put a few pancakes in his pocket and never said cheerio or anything. Oh, okay, this is the big thing that is worthy of a Newsweek story. Pancakes in his pocket. Now, I don't know if I've ever seen Trump when he's not, when he's golfing, but he always has a nice pair of khakis on and stuff. So, or a suit jacket or something, okay, but does he look like a man that would put a pancake in his pocket? I'm just saying. Really? Does he? Because to me, I don't think so. Now, I'll tell you, I've never sat there and watched Trump and thought to myself, you know what? That looks like a man who has pancakes in his pockets. Never. I've never said that. Have you? Has that ever crossed your mind that this might be a man with pancakes in his pocket? I'm just saying. So anyway, yeah, pancakes in his pockets. And he never said cheerio or anything. Wow. Oh, we need to impeach that man. He forgot to say cheerio. The White House did not immediately respond to Newsweek's request for comment regarding the allegation of theft because they were probably laughing too hard. Seriously, I'm just saying, it's so funny, it's ridiculous. Trump visited his mother's former home in the village of Tong in the northwest Isle of Lewis in 2008. According to The National, the president has only visited once and spent just 97 seconds in the home where his mother was raised alongside 9 siblings. So, I've never been in the home where my mother was raised. Oh, yes, I have. Yes, I have. As a child, yes, my grandparents' home. I have been in their home, but not since I was like a little girl. Okay. So, yeah, he's just spent about 97 seconds in his mother's childhood home. Oh, what a bad son. He's a bad son. Impeach him. Pancakes in his pockets. He stole my pancakes, man. He didn't say cheerio or nothing. Just didn't say cheerio. Just stole my pancakes, man. So, yeah, and then, he went to his mother's childhood home in the Isle of Lewis, and he spent 97 seconds there. Who had the stopwatch? Okay, he walked in. All right. Oh, he's coming out now? All right. 97 seconds. Who does that? No one. During his visit, Trump said he had been very busy. I am building jobs all over the world, and it's very, very tough to find the time to come back. But this just seems an inappropriate time because I have the plane. I'm very glad I did, and I will be back later. Well, you know what? The man is busy. He does have a family of his own and a young child that he's raising and a wife, and he is the president of the United States of America. I think the man might be busy. Okay, now what year was this? Okay, this was back in 2008. So, or was it? Yes, it was. So he wasn't president then, but he was still a busy man. Marianne eventually emigrated to the U.S. in 1930 at the age of 17. Okay, so they're mad. She emigrated to the U.S. in 1930. She's been in the States since 1930. And they're mad because Trump didn't go over to Scotland and spend time in the house where she was born. What? Anyway, she was 17 when she emigrated to the U.S. 17. she met Trump's father, Fred, at a party, and the two later married in 1936. And these people are all, or these relatives are really upset because they haven't given money to the town where she was for 17 years, the first 17 years of her life. How dare he? What an oaf. Okay, so anyway, from across the Atlantic Ocean, Marianne retained her links with the isolated community, donating funds to help construct a village hall in the 1970s. Marianne visited Scotland regularly and spoke the traditional Gaelic language when she did, according to the BBC. So, she has reason to donate there. That's fine. But Trump has no ties there. He was born in the United States. I'm telling you. What the heck, man? So, Marianne, who visited the area many times, continued in her mother's generous tradition and donated almost $200,000 to a care home and hospice in Stornoway, the largest city on the Isle of Lewis. They were a lovely pair, McKay recalled. His sister gave a big donation to the hospice. Marianne gave money to the Tong Center as well. She was lovely. During his trip, Trump met a delegation from the local council to talk about plans to convert Lewis Castle into a hotel and museum. The National said the billionaire promised to look at it, but never got back in touch with officials. Well, I'm sure he did look at it, and he decided no. So this is the whole story. Yes, this is it. That's the whole story. He stole pancakes. And he didn't say Cheerio. Oh my gosh. He didn't say Cheerio. I think it would be really funny if Trump tweeted something about Cheerio in a tweet. Really? Like, I would laugh. I would laugh and laugh. Seriously. I would laugh like a crazy woman. And it wouldn't surprise me. Nothing surprises me because he is the master troll with pancakes in his pockets. I don't care if my president has pancakes in his pocket. Do you? No. Actually, I kind of like my president with pancakes in his pocket. Especially if I'd be hanging around with him. It's good to have someone with pancakes in their pocket in case you get hungry. Just saying. All right, let's go back now, see if there's anything else that just can't wait. Yes, there is. This. I wanted to get to this, and I will, and I shall, and I'm going to. Here we go. This is the weirdest thing I've seen in a very long time. Not as weird as the pancakes in the pocket, but there's a new blackest material ever. It's eating a diamond as we speak. It's so black, it turns diamonds into black holes. What could go wrong? On the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, a team of artists and scientists have made a 16.78 carat diamond valued at more than $2 million disappear. I would have thought that they'd start on something cheaper. I'm just saying. If you're going to make something disappear, don't start with a $2 million diamond. Granted, denizens of Stock Exchange are no strangers to making vast amounts of wealth disappear, or vanish rather, but this time the scientists are doing the heavy lifting, working with artist Diamut Streeb. A team of researchers from MIT covered the shimmering yellow diamond in a newly discovered type of carbon nanotube coating that turns 3D objects into black, almost 100% light-free voids. According to the researchers who described the coating in a study published September 12th in the journal ACS Applied Materials and Interfaces, this newfound nanotube structure is the blackest of black materials ever created, absorbing more than 99.996 of any light that touches it. Our material is 10 times blacker than anything that's ever been reported, lead study author Brian Wardle, a professor of aeronautics and astronautics at MIT, said in a statement. Wow, 10 times blacker than anything that's ever been reported. That's black. Now, what exactly do you think they're going to do with this? The team created the new coating accidentally while trying to design an improved process for growing carbon nanotubes, essentially microscopically small strings of carbon on surfaces like aluminum foil. One problem with working with aluminum they found is that a layer of oxides formed whenever the surface was exposed to open air, creating a pesky chemical barrier between the nanotubes and the foil. To eliminate these oxides, the team soaked the foil in salt water, then moved it into a small oven. I don't know what I'm saying. Listen to what I mean, not to what I say. Anyway, they moved it into a small oven where the nanotubes could grow without oxygen interface. I hate when my nanotubes grow without oxygen interface. Oh, interference rather. Without oxygen interference. I hate that. With millions of tangled nanotubes. Oh, tangled nanotubes are the worst. Now studying the foil like a microscopic forest of fur, incoming photons of light got lost and had a very hard time exiting from the foil's surface. The foil, the team found, had thus turned completely black. So black, the ridges of the aluminum were completely invisible when viewed straight on. I remember noticing how black it was before growing carbon nanotubes on it, and then after growth, it looked even darker, study co-author Chi-Hang Qiu, a professor at Shanghai Jiao Tong University, said in a statement, "So I thought I should measure the optical reflectance of the sample." Qiu and colleagues compared the reflectiveness of the new coating with other light-devouring nanostructures, including the previous record holder for darkness, Vantablack. While the differences between the various nanostructures are negligible to human eyes, the researcher found that their coating was indeed blacker than any other black they tested, no matter the angle at which the light hit the coating. The effect, as you can see in the image of the diamond above, is eerie. Once exposed to the coating, the bright yellow diamond seemingly loses all its facets, flattening into what artist I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. A kind of black hole from which no light or shadows can escape. Incidentally, this uber-dark coating could one day be used to help astronomers see actual black holes by applying the material to telescope-mounted shades that help reduce glare from the stars. For now, though, you can see the diamond-shaped void for yourself at the New York Stock Exchange until November 25th. Could you imagine coating someone in that? All you'd see is two eyes floating. And this might have some applications for military uses. What greater camouflage than a big black hole? I don't know. But let's look at this picture above. Here it is. This is the diamond, and this is the diamond when it's coated. And as you can see, you can't see it. Interesting. The blackest black that's ever been. Interesting, to say the least. So, I wouldn't be wanting to make a diamond disappear, but hey, to each their own. Now, this has been indeed a weird show, but what do you do? Now, hopefully, well, I will be back tomorrow. I shouldn't say hopefully. I will be back tomorrow, and hopefully what I was going to say is I will have the show that I'd like to do. It'll be all on the same topic. So when I bring that, I'll probably do 2 shows. Anyway, now, last but not least, certainly not least, I have some people to thank. And I do thank them from the deep, dark bowels of my heart. Now, these are coffee donations, people that have given coffee donations. Kitty Cat, I don't know because it's a man's name on the card that they used, but they go by Kitty Cat. So Kitty Cat, I would think, would be a woman, but I don't know. There could be a man that goes by Kitty Cat. I don't know. But anyway, thank you because they donated, and I appreciate that. And it was from both her and her, or him, his 16 birds, 7 cats, 2 dogs, and 1 pet rat. Now, there's a house full of pets. 16 birds 7 cats. I wonder how many birds there were to begin with. 16 birds, 17 cats. She probably had 100 birds to begin with. And 2 dogs. And 1 pet rat. Yeah. They probably had 10 before they had the cats. Pet rats. But, cats, rats, birds. I'm just saying. And we the people. Lisa MC from Tennessee. That rhymes, doesn't it? And C. Williams, Kathy Kate, gave a very generous donation, and thank you so much. I appreciate it. And A. Cersei, L. Hills, who goes by Deplorable Granny, says I'm her Tonight Show. Hey, okay. Well, I wouldn't think I was quite as entertaining as the Tonight Show, but hey, I mean, if you think so, that's great. And KC, who goes by Anon, thank you. And Tim, Jules B, her cat Kiwi, says hi. Hi, Kiwi. Glad to have you watching, Kiwi. Always nice to have, cats. Yeah. Anyway, and Deb F. So thank you guys. You all donated via coffee, and I appreciate it so much. And in the mail, I got something from Shoshana in Iowa. She gave me a card and a lovely note, and she sent me a picture of her cat. So let's take a look, shall we? This is her cat, Autumn. Now I have to go over here to see if, no, not over there, over here, to see if you can see this. I don't know. La, 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 la. Here we go. Beautiful cat, and it's named Autumn because of her coloring. Beautiful. And let's go back. No, really, let's. To here. And I got a book from Two Bear Capshaw. Now, I don't know where Two Bear Capshaw is from because they ordered it through Amazon and it went to the Amazon warehouse in Canada and then came to me. But this is the book. And I think I showed you this before, but I'll show it to you again. What could possibly... Okay, I could pee on this. It's poems by cats. Yes, I could pee on this. Anyway, I won't read you these poems right now because, I have to respect your time somewhat. Now, let's go back. No, let's. And Ms. Williams from Michigan, she sent a beautiful letter, and it really was a beautiful letter and donation. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And Grace LZ from Arizona sent a wonderful note, and she sent me a couple memes. And this one, I'm sorry, made me laugh because, let me see here. There we go. I don't know if you can see this, but here I am dressed like a warrior there. Yeah. And it says, the warrior. A warrior is the protector of his family and those in need, is the guardian of the ways of honor and courage, will not put his own desires above what is right. A warrior is always motivated by his utmost duty, or her, in my case. So yeah, there I am. I found that a little funny. And well, I found it a lot funny, actually. And then this meme, here. So, but not only that, she sent me, if I can find it here, and what she doesn't know, she is an amateur zoologist. Well, I thought I had it when I sat down. I thought I brought it over, but hey, I just had to do that while I don't know where it went. Oh, there it is. Sorry, it's behind my bottle here. Said she is an amateur geologist, and I am absolutely all into rocks and stuff like that, and semi-precious stones and so forth. I really am. I love it. And actually, I wanted to tell her, if she's listening, that close to me, it's about maybe 45 minutes to an hour away, there is a place called Bancroft. If you look it up, Bancroft, it's the gemstone capital of the world. Apparently, people come from all over the world there because almost every gemstone is there. because it's right on the crest of the Canadian Shield, which I'm not going to take the time to go into that, but there's all sorts of minerals. People looking, rock hounds come from all over to go there, and there's all sorts of stuff there, but I'm really into that. I really probably should have been a geologist or a weather person, because yeah, that's another interest. But it's, I don't know if you can see this. It is fire agate, and it's probably, yeah, there it is. And when you look at it, you can't probably see it there, but there's like really interesting colors and everything in it. So yes, thank you for this. You didn't know, but I am all up into this. So there you go. All right, and let's go back. No, really, let's. Is anybody still listening? Okay, I hope so. And one more. Patreon. We have a new Patreon supporter, Kay Chappelle. And thank you all. I couldn't do this without you guys. I really couldn't. So I appreciate it a lot. And I appreciate my listeners. I get such a kick out of you guys. And it is so fun going to the mail now. It really is. Because I never know what I'm going to get. And I get such nice letters and cards and comments that it's wonderful. So thank you guys so much. I'll be back tomorrow. And until then, stay safe. Let me go back over here. I always like to end over here. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed. And please keep seeking truth. Good night.